delay to the regular town board meeting of September 10th, 2020. And at this point, I'd like to ask everybody to please rise.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Since we still have a shield up here, left over from court night, everybody's spread out. I think I can take my mask off and be safe here. So, okay. At this point, do we get any visitors who wish to speak? And if you do, come on up with state your name and address. Hearing none. We have public access also at the end of the meeting, so. All right, minutes of the previous meeting. Gentlemen, you read them?
Yep, I'll make a motion to accept. I did, I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Report by elected officials and department heads. Mr. Lewis, town clerk.
Yep. Okay, August income, we had $10,405.31, which will be remitted to the office. 6,882 of that was recycling sales, $1,000 in rental fees. We actually have some community center bookings for next year, which is good, and a pavilion for next year. $476 dog licenses. We have 8 new residents and 62 are still with us. And then $2,045 miscellaneous fees. We had a couple. We had a waste haulers permit for 1,000, peddlers permit for 200. And we actually made some money with DEC hunting licenses this time. It's not a lot, not $4,982, almost $5,000. We get $273. But it helps pay for us even doing it, so. And that's fine.
Okay. Entertain a motion to approve Bill's report.
I'll make a motion.
And Jim second. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, highway department. Mr. O'Donnell, or deputy highway superintendent.
For the month of August, Patch Road, 8 days.
Excuse me, gotta get right close to that mic. Sorry.
Move that mic closer to you. It's kind of a little ways away.
Yeah.
We Patch Road, 8 days. Cleaned catch basin, 6 days. Picked up bag leaves, 7 days. Hauled stone to Smith Hill, 2 days. Mowed the beach, 2 days. Mowed sides of the road, 2 days. Mowed the ballparks, 5 days. Prep ropes for Patcham 1 day. Hauled blacktop for Rensselaer County 1 day. Keys Lane basketball court, 3 days, the construction of that. Changed lights down to Keys Lane. All cardboard, 2 days. Hang veteran signs, 2 days. Brush pickup, 5 days. Replace pipe Smith Hill Road, 2 days. Grade all Smith Hill Road, 1 day. Haul brush and leaves from across the street, 2 days. And check pipes and catch basins, 1 day.
Busy, huh, Ed?
I guess so.
I made a motion to approve Mr. O'Donnell's report. Can I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Superintendent of Utilities and Inspection, Mr. Golden.
Good evening, gentlemen. For the month of August, we had 63 building and property inspections, 330 active building permits, 24 building permits issued or renewed, 13 meetings, 3 planning board meetings, 1 combined zoning board and planning board meeting, 0 court cases, 2 fire inspections, 4 follow-up inspections, 1 code call-out, 15 code complaints, 25 code complaint inspections, as well as vacant abandoned property inspections, 10 vacant abandoned property searches with the accessory department, out of the 10, 2 of which were found to be vacant, and 8 planning board projects open or granted, and 10 zoning board projects open or granted. This is the first time I've been in front of you guys since February, so I've been saying this, as Bill has checked in, and when we weren't having meetings, as to what was going on in the building department, and he said, it just seems like we have a lot of pools, you know, we seem to have a lot of pools, but a lot of times your perception doesn't match the numbers, so you gotta dig down a little bit, so, I feeling we had a lot of sheds. I was correct in that assessment. For the year of 2019, from the 1st until August 31st, we had 4 shed permits last year. This year we had 13. So a lot of folks, whether they're hanging around the house because of the COVID-19 and they're saying they need more storage or not.
What was that part of?
That was for sheds.
Shed?
Yeah, so,
Okay.
you know, we had 3 times as many shed permits this year in that time frame of the, up until August 31st in comparison to last year. And with my perception of the pools, I don't know why I felt there were a lot more pools, but in the case of above ground pools, we had 13 last year, and this year we have 3 more of 16. I think I had that perception because of more than the usual amount needed variances. And it just seemed like it was more, because I think we're dealing with them for a longer amount of time. In-ground pools, actually there were more last year, 1 more last year. There was 6 last year, and this year there were 5. So far, we still have some people that are going to be putting their pools in the fall just because they got in so late. So I've heard there's going to be a few more people. But the big thing that we kind of focus on is the single-family homes. And the single-family home numbers last year up until this time, August 31st of 2019, we had 9. And this year we have 7. And I know of a couple more that will be in. So our numbers are going to be about right, I think, for this year. The totals for the year to date from the 2019, and this is where you're seeing fairly good disparity. You have 151 permits at this time in 2019 with a gross valuation of $16,108,424.36. And this year, so far, we've had 158. So your permits are, you know, a little more, but the difference in evaluation for those 158 permits is $5,828,529.50. So that is a big difference, a factor of 3. And I look at it in that we didn't have the big commercial, either solar or the commercial properties such as Planet Fitness and that development, and we didn't have any of those this year. So, you know, those are on the horizon. We will see those at the end of this year, maybe next year maybe. So I am really not that concerned. But that is my report. I finally get to give Bill some papers after I get through talking, because he gets his report here. This is the one I just worked up, so. Any questions, gentlemen?
Thanks, sir.
We're good, so. Entertain a motion to approve Chuck's report.
I'll make it. I'll second.
All in favor? Town Attorney, Mr. Chaffee.
This past month I've been working on several FOIL matters, most recently one involving the building department, where parties to litigation had FOILed various town records, and it took a good deal of time to get through all that. I've also been working on our length of service award programs for our fire protection district, the fire company serving our fire protection district, and you'll note that there's 2 resolutions in front of the board this evening. Been working with the highway department on an ongoing driveway permit issue. I've been performing various legal research projects for town board members and department heads, and I prepared the resolutions and other documents pertaining to tonight's meeting.
Very good. I'll make a motion to approve Tom's report. Can I have a second?
I'll second.
Mark. All in favor?
Aye.
Town historian, Sharon, how you been?
Oh, great. Just getting older.
Well, most of us are.
I haven't been out since February either, just like Chuck, so I wanted to come and say hello and let you know I'm still around. In my reports every month that I've sent, you know that I've tried to say something about what's going on in our town and how this COVID-19 has affected us. So I'm just going to read my report. I'm not going to try to discuss it in general terms, and hope that maybe I can inspire someone in the crowd to call up and say, hey, town historian, I'd like to do an oral history interview with you. We can do them by phone. We can do it in my town office. We could do it out in the park some night before it gets too cold. So give me a call. My number is 518-279-9714. There is no charge for this, and I will give you a mask. Okay. Population's concern over the coronavirus and perhaps preoccupation with the daily news of the upcoming, I can't read with this. I've never had your public speak with this on before.
We got our 60.
Oh dear. And with the daily news of the upcoming presidential election, public protest, some violent, generally arising from the deaths of black people at the hands of police officers, and weather events such as the recent hurricanes and the current wildfires in California and other western states continue to curtail the usual work of most government historians throughout the country. But I've continued to observe and to the greatest degree possible speak with community members about the impact of the pandemic on life here. As I have indicated in previous reports, I would like to conduct local history or interviews with our residents to determine how this COVID-19 pandemic, which is going to really carry great emphasis with future generations down the road, can be documented. I'm interested in knowing how the pandemic impacted people's lives, how they coped with some of their restrictions, perhaps learn of their joys as well as their sorrows. Or maybe just learn that, you just got along with it as best you could without really having to do too much. But those are the things that we historians are looking for. With the approach of cooler weather, many folks are eager to enjoy the last weeks of summer outdoors. More local residents have had the confidence to don a mask and venture beyond their own backyards and neighborhoods for dining, shopping at venues other than the closest supermarket, postpone medical services, taking vacations, and indoor get-togethers for religious worship, organizational meetings and events, and just plain socializing are still conducted with some degree of guarding. Recently, a neighbor mentioned she was glad to see the obituary notices in the local newspaper make mention of attempts by the local undertakers and families to hold some type of funeral service for the deceased after strict adherence to a no funeral policy when the pandemic first hit our area and caused families to forgo or postpone formalities to the passing of a loved one. This week, administrators, teachers, staff, and parents are coping with the opening of the new school year. Tamarack, Brunswick's only in-town public school campus, will conduct classes with some students attending in person and others participating in online courses some or all of the time, depending on the student's grade or in some cases needs. I've read the emails, I've looked at the website, there's been about 6 or 7 emails to the Brunswick Central School District community almost every day, the most recent ones this afternoon, about the different rules and requirements for dealing with this new form of going to school. My long study of Brunswick's common school districts of yesteryear indicates our forefathers dealt with the occasional loss of a schoolhouse due to fire, or perhaps trying to find the funds to buy the fuel of wood or coal for the old cast iron stove that stood in most classrooms, or perhaps they had to conduct a search for a new teacher. But those issues seem almost comical when we think about what our school administrators are dealing with today. Television commercials and catalogs now picture people wearing masks and other PPE, physical protection equipment. I didn't even know what that was, except I think I saw the term used at a local firehouse once. It's not unusual to hear people say, is this the new normal, or voice concern that a resurgence of the virus is likely. Locally, the number of new coronavirus cases has dwindled and tests are more readily available, but a sure cure for the virus and a vaccine remain a hope that dwells within the hearts of most of us. Over the past month, I received just a handful of requests for my services, including one request from a New York City filmmaker in partnership with an author who has published works on the occult and supernatural. And of course, they wanted to visit and meet with me about Forest Park. The parties did not specifically close what their interest was in the cemetery, and after I provided an indication that our goal is to preserve the cemetery as a historic site, the request was withdrawn with good wishes for our success. 2 other informational requests were received related to concerns about the impact of the proposed building of an apartment building and commercial space by AC Properties at Clum's Corners, the impact on the historic schoolhouse at the intersection of Buck Road and Route 278, and that is on the National Register of Historic Places. And that will be addressed, I'm sure, if that application moves forward with the planning board. I've been asked by a family engaged in homeschooling to assist them in identifying appropriate materials for the study of New York State history. And I'd like to offer this update on Brunswick's progress with the 2020 census. And as you know, the census, you can go online, you can respond to the census by telephone or by mail. Most people choose to do it on the internet. The national response rate as of September 8th is 65.5%, which is up from 63.5% last month. The New York State self-response rate is 62%, up from 59.3% in my last report. Rensselaer County's self-response rate is 62%, up from 59.1% 2 months ago. I was not able to pull that number up last month. And the town of Brunswick self-response rate is 74.5%, which is up from 71.9% last time. And I want to say that we are the only town in Rensselaer County that is superseded by just one town on our response rate, and that is the town of East Greenbush. It's not a contest, but they have a little bit better response rate than we do. Bottom line is, though, what I'm concerned about is the New York State response rate, and Rensselaer County's response rate for 2020 is still lagging the response rate for 2010, which is in the report. And this data is available on the U.S. Census Bureau's website. The census is important. It plays into so many things. Historically, it told us the names of who lived in our town and what they did to make a living and how much land they owned. The questions they ask now are quite different, but what is important is how the data is used. And that information down the road at the federal level in particular will be used to determine the amount of federal monies, how federal monies budgets are developed, and for what they're developed, and what goes back, how the monies are divvied up to the local communities. It affects almost everything. Road construction and repairs, firefighting, homeland protection, our schools in particular, especially Pell Grants, medical services. The list goes on and on. I'm sure most of you have heard it before. But if you haven't responded to the census yet, or if you know someone who hasn't, especially perhaps maybe an older family member who's not comfortable doing it online, by all means, please offer to help that person. Supposedly, it was expected that the collection of census information this year might be curtailed, but due to a federal court decision in the state of California, the Census Bureau will be keeping its field offices open for the time being, and the census takers have started hitting the streets. I know they were active in Brunswick as of the middle of last month. I had a gentleman come to my door and ask about a home that is vacant, and he wanted information about the people that have lived there. So they may come to your door if you're late putting in your response. They still may come, and they just take a few minutes of your time, and it is important to us, especially down the road, and make sure that we get our share of whatever it is they're handing out, right?
Right.
So thank you, and I hope we can all be together safely next month.
Thank you, Sharon. Entertain a motion to approve Sharon's report?
Offer. Or second.
Take your choice.
Either one.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, I gave the option to our department heads to attend tonight, because this is the first time we have asked our department heads if they were comfortable to come in case there was any questions, and but I told them if they weren't comfortable, it was okay, just hand in a report. So I have a recycling coordinator report, and we have file,
Yes, we
correct?
got it in library.
And our library report.
The only thing lacking was water, and I think that's because Bill was kind of under the weather. I think he had to leave early. I don't have a report for water yet.
So I entertain a motion to accept the recycling report and the community library report as submitted.
I'll make it.
I'll second it. All in favor?
Aye.
Bill, resolutions. Okay.
All right, we have 5 tonight. 2 of them, when we get to them, are going to require quick discussion about having public hearing, if they are accepted. So, to start, resolution number 56, year 2020. It's a resolution adopting revised point system for town-sponsored length of service award programs.
Mr. Supervisor, if it's okay, I wanted to make a statement on this one.
Sure, please.
As most of you know, in accordance with the Brunswick Town Ethics Law, you're required to report anything that you have an interest in. So I just wanted to make a statement quick. As most of you are aware, I've been a firefighter for almost 30 years now, volunteer firefighter at Brunswick 1. Only on the town board in the last 6 years. Over the last 6 years, I've distanced myself from anything that deals directly with the town of Brunswick and Brunswick 1 fire, or anything that could potentially be considered a conflict of interest or create any kind of ethical issue. But at the same time, I remained available for public safety information resource, as Mark is now also, to ensure transparency and a high ethical standard wherever it was potentially conflict of interest. I, as an elected town official, either abstained or recused myself from the process, which the records indicate. Anyway, so why am I telling everyone this? Well, tonight, over the last few months, we worked on the Town of Brunswick LoSAP program for the volunteer fire departments. It was the Town of Brunswick, the fire companies, and Firefly Incorporated. This is an update to ensure that the town is able to build a better, more consistent program, a program that ensures we're compliant with New York State laws, as well as something to help recruit and retain volunteer firefighters in the town, which everybody knows saves the town a ton of money from having to go to paid departments. During this process, I did make myself available for that process as an information resource, which I've always done. I've provided input on how Brunswick 1 runs their program, how the records are maintained, and answered any general questions the group had during the process. For the record, in order to maintain transparency and the high ethical standard, as I said, during this process I was there for information only, did not attempt to sway or influence anybody on anyone's position in the program itself, or changes that may be implemented. As a result of the requirement to show any interest in it, I've been in the program for almost 30 years now, and these 2 resolutions tonight are part of that program, and I will again recuse myself as I've done previously. Thanks.
Excellent.
Okay,
All right.
still needs to be offered in section.
Then I'll offer the resolution.
Okay, Mark. Second?
I'll second.
Okay, foregoing resolution offered by Councilman Sipperly and seconded by Supervisor Harrington. Roll call vote. Councilman Christian absent. Councilman Sullivan.
Aye.
Councilman Ballester recused. Councilman Sipperly.
Aye.
Supervisor Harrington.
Aye.
That's enough votes. The resolution is adopted. Along the same lines, resolution number 57 for the year 2020. Resolution amending town-sponsored and administered length of service award program to increase annual service award contribution per eligible firefighter.
Mark, you can, oh, he left, didn't he?
Recuse himself.
Right, I'm sorry. I knew we did, but I thought he was still sitting there. Tom, this one goes from the $700 up to $1,200, correct?
That's right, the state legislature authorized that increase up to 1,200.
First, they have to, firemen have to obtain so many points by
50 points.
50 points by going to drills, by attending, going to the fires, being an officer, but they have to add up to 50 points, and with that, they qualify for $1,200. What do I want to call it?
Contribution towards the pension, basically.
It's a pension benefit, essentially.
Yeah, yeah. So that's what we're doing tonight. It's $700 right now, and you could go up any increment. The 1,200 is the top, and I thought, one thing, I just make a quick statement. As you all know, we need our volunteers, and we're fortunate enough in the town of Brunswick to have some outstanding fire companies and first responders. And, you know, I thought, and the board thought, we would go to the top, which is the 1,200. But one thing that we try to do when we're looking for candidates for the board is somebody that understood the fire company and could talk about the fire company, because there's more. I mean, they're all volunteers. We all have families. I look out tonight, we got a nice crowd. You guys are pretty young. As you know, there's a lot going on with your families and everything. But these firemen go down and they train. They take a lot of classes. So I'm real happy with Mark came on board, Ballesteria. He understands the fire company. And Mark Zipperly over here, he was a former chief, correct, Mr. Zipperly? Didn't get paid too much either, right? All volunteers. So I'm very happy that we're doing these two resolutions. So
Just to know, because you did explain what this was about a little bit.
yeah, please.
So just to make it clear that this resolution is subject to mandatory referendums.
Yep.
So although the board, if you vote to do the increase, it's subject to approval by the voters of the 3 fire protection districts that are involved.
Okay. Bill?
Need to be offered and seconded.
I'll offer.
Second.
Okay, foregoing resolution offered by Supervisor Harrington, seconded by Councilman Sullivan. Roll call vote. Councilman Christian absent. Councilman Sullivan.
Aye.
Councilman Ballesteria recused. Councilman Sibley.
Aye.
Supervisor Harrington.
Aye.
Resolution is adopted. Resolution 58 for year 2020. Resolution and order accepting petition for extension of Town of Brunswick Consolidated Water District and scheduling a public hearing.
Andy, you want to comment on this, or are you okay? Put you on the spot there, so.
Very quickly.
Attorney Gilchrist?
This is in connection with the approved Sharp Road subdivision. And as part of that approval, there was a proposed extension of the Brunswick Consolidated Water District to provide public water to the new homes, and the creation of a drainage district to address the stormwater facilities of the project. This is the procedure to create the drainage district and extend the consolidated water district. The applicants have submitted the required petition to create the districts and the map plan and engineering report that's been reviewed by the water department with Mr. Bradley deemed complete. So what's in front of you tonight are these resolutions and orders accepting the petition, starting the review process, and the first step is a mandatory public hearing.
Thank you. Bill?
Okay.
You need to schedule, put the date in the resolution.
Yep.
Is October 8th okay at 6:45?
For public hearing?
It is, and what I would suggest, the subdivision itself obviously was already subject to a public hearing. If one could be set at 6:45 and one at 6:50, then you'll have a separate public hearing for each proposed thing.
Okay.
So you want to make this one 6:45?
Yeah.
Okay, water.
Water is 6:45 and sewer at 6:50.
Yep.
All right, you still have to offer and accept this.
You said October
October 8th. You mean the next, before the next board meeting, correct?
Correct.
Is that October 6th?
No,
October 8th.
8th, the next board meeting.
Okay, right. I'm looking at the wrong one. Got it. October 8th.
So I offered it, right?
Okay. Didn't hear that, that's all right. Do you have a second on that?
I'll second it.
Okay, foregoing resolution offered by Councilman Sullivan, seconded by Councilman Sibberly. Roll call vote, Councilman Christian absent, Councilman Sullivan,
Aye.
Councilman Balesbury,
Aye.
Councilman Sibberly,
Aye.
Supervisor Harrington.
Aye.
Resolution is adopted. Resolution 59 is a resolution in order accepting petitions for creation of drainage district and scheduling public hearing. We just scheduled a public hearing. I have a motion.
I'll make it.
Okay.
I'll second.
The foregoing resolution offered by Councilman Sullivan, seconded by Councilman Balesbury. Roll call vote, Councilman Christian absent, Councilman Sullivan,
Aye.
Councilman Balesbury,
Aye.
Councilman Sibberly,
Aye.
Supervisor Harrington.
Aye.
Foregoing resolution is adopted. Resolution 60, 2020. Resolution to accept the water and sewer maintenance roll for the period of January 1st, 2020 through June 30th, 2020, aka August 2020 water and sewer roll. Motion.
I'll offer it.
I'll second.
Resolution offered by Councilman Sullivan, seconded by Supervisor Harrington. Roll call vote. Councilman Christian absent. Councilman Sullivan.
Aye.
Councilman Balesbury.
Aye.
Councilman Sibberly.
Aye.
Supervisor Harrington.
Aye.
Foregoing resolution is adopted. That's it.
Okay. Any correspondence, Bill?
Nothing.
No? Okay. Board, do we got any old business out there?
Well, I should have let the board know.
No, go ahead. No.
Before I forget, before it gets away from us, you know, the, creeping up on us, the budget season. And, I think the budget's due September 30th, along with the town clerk. And then there is the requirement of a special meeting, before October 5th, I think it is, that's my recollection. So, it doesn't, I mean, I don't know if you wanted to talk about it tonight, setting that up, or,
Oh, we set a date, right?
yeah, it's a very short meeting. It's
Right,
just-
right.
It's a
The
formality.
town clerk to hand
It's
over
a
it.
formality, it's just something that we have to do. So, October 5th happens to be a Monday.
Okay with me.
Monday before?
Monday, October 5th,
Yep.
at what time? I mean, like I say, depends
Yes.
on people's schedules, because it's a very short meeting.
Yeah. Basically, as the board knows, my budget that gets handed out.
Yeah,
It's right,
presented.
but it's in
presented
the
to the
law.
board.
Oh, yeah. Yep. What time?
5:30.
5:30 is great.
5:30? Okay.
So we can do it on the, what did I say, the 5th?
Monday, October 5th
Yep.
at 5:30. Everyone agree with that?
Yep.
Works.
Okay.
Bill will need to do a special meeting notice.
Right, yeah.
I don't think it's early.
We got it.
Okay. Any new business? The only thing I want to quickly say is, I met yesterday with, there were 7 residents of Sickaway area, Mellon Avenue, and then behind Roxy's, that area, Genesee Street and stuff. Had a great meeting. I know someone probably tuned in here tonight, but of course, they're concerned. I mean, the traffic, Route 7, pretty heavy, as we all know, when people are cutting through the side streets. But they had a lot of concerns. We made a big list. Some of them, I said, it's the easy fruit, you know, we can grab easily, like i.e., some of the signs are got brush grown up where they can't see very good, can't see the signs. Some of the corners are getting, so it's hard to see around the corner. So we can get our highway department down there and trim things up and help. Some of the signs are getting faded. we can do all that type of stuff. But it was nice to meet with the residents. They had a lot of concerns. Going to meet with them in another month, but you know, it's a tough area down there because, as you know, there's not sidewalks. I don't know if there's room for sidewalks without ruining everybody's lawns. Very, very difficult. We've asked, I wrote a letter on behalf of the board and sent it to the troopers, sent another letter to the sheriff and asked them to patrol that area. They're telling me they haven't seen a lot of patrols, so I'll make a phone call tomorrow and just get some people in the area. There's an old abandoned home down there on Genesee and Otsego that you can't see the home. It's been abandoned about 3 years and just trees on the lawn and stuff. And the poor lady was in this care facility and she just passed away. But we have a local law that we passed so we can go down there and, well, first thing we do, we send a notice out to whoever's name is on the deed. That, in this case, is a grandson, and ask them just to clean it up and trim it up because the rest of the area is beautiful. You know, if you're living there and you want your grass to be 3 foot high, we don't try to take your living over, but if there's nobody living there, we just don't like the rats and the mice and everything else forming. So what happens is if there's no action on that to get it cleaned up in 10 days, then we can go in and have a landscaper give us a couple quotes, a couple different landscapers, or even a highway. We can go in there and trim it up and clean it up and make it so it's not a hazard. And then we'll send the bill to whoever's name's on the deed. So I'm pretty happy with that because we never had these situations in Brunswick, but you know what happened, guys, is the house gets abandoned and all of a sudden the bank takes them over. And I'll be honest with you, some of these banks, to me, don't really seem to care what the neighborhood looks like. So we took about a year and a half to get a law done, and we've been using it. So it was nice to meet with the residents. I felt it was very, very productive, and I guess they'll be the judge here when they meet. We're going to have to get some action there. We will get some action. So, okay, warrants.
Make a motion to approve our bills.
I'll second it.
All in favor? Aye. Any further comments from visitors at this point? Anybody got anything to say?
Gentlemen, can you guys hear me okay?
You have to get fairly close to the mic.
Yeah, sorry,
Better?
Yeah, they need to.
that mask. Yeah,
I know.
And
Oh, there you go.
you have to state name and address for the record.
Perfect. My name is Ashley Hill and I live at One Line Drive. As I think everybody in this room knows, I'm the wife of the highway superintendent. I wanted to get some things on record and I appreciate all of your attention. As some of you know, my husband was injured while on duty on January 28, 2019. It's been hell ever since. There are repeated rumors from town employees, residents, and town representatives claiming he is faking or milking his injury. I'm using this platform to make it clear that this injury and mismanagement of his medical treatment by the town's insurance carrier are very real and have very real consequences. I'm sorry, I told myself I wasn't going to cry.
You're doing okay.
His livelihood and ability to provide for his family has been taken from him, and he's been denied necessary medical treatment by the insurance company that the town contracts with for their employees. Every day, the lack of approval to medical care continues to decrease his chances of regaining these things for him and our family, and diminishes his ability to use his expertise to serve the town of Brunswick and its residents. I want to let you know he is not faking or milking anything. Does anyone think a hardworking person like my husband would fake that he can't walk without crutches that he can't sleep because of the pain, that he can't stand himself because the medication is affecting his cognition, faith that he can't play baseball with our son, or drive his kids to even get ice cream. I'm pretty sure everybody knows that's not who Brandon is. This is real and this is our life. Our lives have been forever changed because of this injury and delaying treatment. Our 6-year-old son, whose dad can't go hunting with him and cries asking when is daddy's foot going to get better, knows he isn't faking. Our 3-year-old daughter, whose dad can't teach her to ride a bike without training wheels, knows he isn't faking. Our neighbors and friends, who I call crying, as you can see, know that he isn't faking. Neighbors and family and friends who have Nerf wars and push our kids on the swings when I'm at work know he isn't faking. His family members who have to take him to doctor's appointments because they have to take time from work because the comp insurance did not approve his transportation and he cannot drive know he isn't faking. And I, as his wife, who have had to experience all of this and yet try to be strong for my family, know that this is real. This is also real for everyone who has come to this meeting in support of Brandon. I wanted to make everyone aware how far this has gone and how much his injury and continued lack of care cost Brandon, our family, and the taxpayers of this community. The town board, town employees, and taxpayers need to know the poor, likely unconscious choice and compensation insurance has affected more than just Brandon. It's affecting your town and your community. Everyone needs to know this could have all been avoided if the insurance company approved $150 injections, but yet we have had to fight for treatment and are still fighting. Instead of $150 injections, we now have a disabled worker who may lose his job over all of this. The town has been without his position and knowledge for over a year. Town employees and residents have commented about how much they realize what Brandon has brought to the town, including his management, organization, and expertise. I basically wanted everyone to know for the cost of minor medical treatment, 2 children's lives are changed for the foreseeable future and possibly forever. Their dad isn't going to be able to do things that other dads do. Now there's a wife who is clearly not holding it together, and a community who has all been affected by this injury and negligence of the insurance company. I wanted to thank you all for your time, and if or when a new superintendent is hired, I want to say good luck, and I hope for you, your family, and your friends' sake, you are not injured serving this town.
Comment slightly here. We're all Brandon Hill people. We're the ones that hired Brandon. I love Brandon. I love Ashley. He's worked for us. Contrary to the text going around, this town board has not advertised for a new highway superintendent. Let me tell you what's going on just quickly. It'll be 2 years in February that Brandon will be out with the disability. Now, Brandon had a deputy that he asked us to approve who was outstanding. But he told me from day one, I do not want to be the highway superintendent. I'm here because I'm a friend of Brandon's. I work with Brandon, and that's why I'm here as deputy. Before last winter, he said to me, listen, Phil, I'm not going to run on you. I'm going to hang in here. I'll be the deputy. I want to help Brandon. We all want to help Brandon in terms of running the highway department. So he stayed through the winter. And then when spring came, he said, I'm moving on because I don't want to be highway superintendent. So the town of Brunswick right now, Brandon is still the highway superintendent, okay? What I did, I probably started all this, I don't know how many people know me, a lot of them are probably listening. I talk, maybe sometimes too much, but I'm a talker, I always have been. I go ring doorbells, I go to people's homes, people come to the farm. There's no secrets here, I talk. So what I did was I asked the general foreman of the highway department, who is basically running the town now, without Brandon being here, and one of our working foremen to come up to the farm. And I said, guys, I'm very concerned because something's just changed. And what's changed is through workman comp, and I believe probably Brandon's attorney or whatever, he would just issued a temporary, they call it, but it's a permanent disability with workman comp, which means he can't, I understand, he can't pick the phone up and say, hey guys, here's what needs to happen today. He's on permanent disability, so now I just lost him in terms of the leadership. The good thing is I met with Ashley and Brandon in November because they were very afraid of what was going to happen, and it's very, very difficult. And I said, listen, I know you got young children. I know you got a new home. You're a good guy. I'm not going to cut you loose. We're not going to cut you loose. We're not going to have you lose your home. We're going to work with you. And we've been doing that. He's been receiving workman comp checks from the town, whatever. Now he's on permanent disability through comp, which we did not set up. I think, it's like $800 a week or something, disability, I'm being told, that comes through comp. So at least he's got the money coming in. My situation, our situation is, as most of you listen tonight, we have a very big highway department. We've got 20 people. And it's very demanding. And matter of fact, those 7 people that came in said, well, the highway superintendent used to ride around and he would see the brush grew on the signs, and he would cut them. But there's nobody checking things. And when I tell them, well, I don't have a highway superintendent, they don't want to hear it. So what I told the 2 gentlemen that came to the farm, I said, we're all in this together. How do we run the highway department? I don't want to hurt these people. I mean, geez, I'm human. I mean, I understand, I got a heart. We all got a heart. So I said, it's a 2-year term, correct, for the highway superintendent. When you appoint him, there's a 2-year term. So the question becomes, hopefully Brandon can get back. Hopefully he can work. I was praying that maybe he could work from home with a computer or something. But when workman comp says you're permanently disabled, all we need is him to start running the highway department and have him lose the workman comp. And hey, we'll watch that. Trust me. Comp, they're going to watch. So he's permanently disabled. He can't help us. He can't help us. So where does that leave us? Do we advertise and see what's out there for a highway superintendent? Do we continue operating the way we've been operating, meaning with a working general foreman and the other foremen? It's getting tough because I talked to our general foreman, who I want to go on record saying he's done an outstanding job. He has stepped up, or he wants to help Brandon. He's pushing for Brandon. He's been above and beyond. But he said, Phil, I don't want to make these phone calls. I'm a worker. I want to work. When people call and they scream at you, it's not a very fun day. And this gentleman said, I didn't sign up for this. I'm not taking phone calls. I'm not calling people back. So now my office gets the phone call. People aren't calling me back. Where's the highway superintendent? So now the whole town of Brunswick, which we took oath to serve, getting a little bit upset. Another option that we're looking at very favorably, maybe there's an older gentleman out there with a little experience. Maybe there's somebody that would like a 2-year term and could step in here, and then let's pray to God Brandon can get that foot taken care of and get back. I mean, I'm not promising anything. I'm not saying that because I got lawyers here and I'll tell you the legal thing. you know, when when an email gets sent or a text gets sent out to a lot of different people, I've been here for 70 years, guys. I got the same friends that you guys, and some of my friends gets the text that, that we're doing Essen highway superintendent or whatever. We're not doing that. We have a big problem. We've got winter coming up. I looked at the highway budget the other day. That's almost done. We almost spent our highway budget. I don't have anybody looking at that. Now, we've got a deputy, and what I've done, thank God, and I thank him, Mr. O'Donnell, Eddie, he's retired. And when he retired after how many years, Ed? 37 years. I know he doesn't want to go out at midnight and start plowing snow again. But the guys like Eddie, the highway guys like Eddie, they respect Eddie. He's got 37 years. But he can't earn a lot of money because he just retired in Social Security. But he's agreed to come in, and he's a deputy right now. But he can't put a lot of hours in. But he's holding it together right now. He's one of us, I guess I want to say. So, I got winter coming up. I don't know what we're doing, but we got an issue. But I think what happened after I talked to two guys, I should have realized it, I talked too much. All of a sudden, somebody, I think, went down to Brandon, I'm guessing, or Ashley or something, said they're going to fire your husband, they don't care about him all of a sudden, That's not the case. What I'm saying is, help me. Help us run this highway department. I'm not going to have snowstorms and not have anybody coordinating things. We've got to run the highway, and we got to do it the best way we can. So that's what's going on, guys. I just want to say, and I guess I can leave it at that. So, but we haven't decided which angles to go. But I've got to figure out, because the minute he picks that phone call up, I've seen comp cases, and some of you maybe have too. They got people sitting in the parking lot. The minute you say you got a bad back and somebody grabs something, there's a comp inspector out there. So Brandon, although he wants to help, the minute he tries to help us in terms of anything, they're going to say, you're working. There goes your disability that he's been fighting for, so he could get a check and continue. So I think we're all in this together, but somehow we've got to figure out how to plug this need, because I don't have a full-time deputy. I got Eddie that's almost volunteering hours now to make it run right, and thank God we've got him with all the experience. So, anybody else at this point? I did a lot of talking, but I just want to let you guys know what's happening. So, anybody else? Come on up. Gotta have your name, please.
Yes, Andrew Allen. Sorry, and I'm at 17 Line Drive, Brunswick.
Yeah.
So I guess I'd just like to say I appreciate what you're saying, and I certainly understand there's a bit of a dilemma there, but it seems like, the root of this is tied to the insurance company. I guess my question to you, is there anything that you can do in your position or to all of you to help that situation? I mean, I think it's clear that he's someone who wants to work. I've got to know Brandon as a neighbor, and he certainly is somebody that I know wants to work. He's invested in the town. Like, I guess the question to you guys, is there anything that you can do to help fight on his behalf? Because I can certainly emphasize that there is a highway to run, and we've got someone who wants to do it. Obviously we all understand you can't do it right now, but I think that's something that could be actionable to help get to that point, because I think that's what's needed.
Well, there's nothing to stop the town from contacting his insurance carrier and inquire as to some of the things that have been raised this evening, and see what they have to say about it.
Mr. Polito, that's my long-term deputy. We reached out to our comp carrier, correct, and said, listen, this guy is not faking. This guy's a worker. That's why he's there. He's hurt. Correct, Pat? So we've done that. So, you want to comment at all, or? Oh, come on up. I'm sorry, I just want to get this out here. So. Pat was my deputy and controller for many years, so.
We've had several phone conversations with our comp people. You sat in on a couple of them, but Becky and I have talked to them. They've given us advice on how to help Brandon, along the way. And well, Becky now is constantly talking to these guys to see what's going on and to make sure that Brandon's not falling through the cracks. So as the town has been talking to the carrier and telling the carrier, hey, we want to help this guy, He's had a couple of hearings where we called up after the hearing and said, what's going on? We wanted you to do this, and you did, we wanted you to do Y, you did X. What's going on? And they've gone back and they've talked to the people and they talked to the judge. It all comes down to dealing with the judge, and one of the problems was the IME, the independent medical examiner that Brandon went to see, and Brandon's doctor back in May. Brandon's doctor was supposed to submit paperwork, and it was a month. Was it, Brandon?
Yeah.
One doctor submitted everything he had to submit.
Yeah, but not in the beginning, in May. I think April and May, there was stuff he hadn't submitted. But then, Brandon's doctor then wrote a nice letter after we talked to Brandon about what was going on, and that helped get Brandon through a period of time to get him to get some of the services that he needed. But we need to be, kept in the loop on both ends in order to keep, fighting for him.
I guess just the last thing I would say is, just to reiterate my point, we have someone who wants to do the job, is dedicated and committed. I just ask each of you to do your part to fight on his behalf. Again, he was appointed and he wants to continue to do his job. If that means making a couple extra phone calls, I think we just need to cut through the red tape and the bureaucracy. I understand that, they're going to try and use every out they can. That's what they do. That's how they make their money. But, let's stand in his corner, and I think, you guys have the power to do that.
We have done that and talked.
I'm not questioning you have done that. I'm just saying, let's just keep
Right.
doing that.
Right.
That's all I'm
Continue.
asking.
Then we get to work my copy, be careful what you say, right? HIPAA, you get HIPAA and all this stuff, All right.
I know it's not easy to understand.
It's not easy. Let me just tell you, and then we can end here. One thing that does disappoint me, I said I'm a communicator, I'm a talker. That's what I am. And when I met with Brandon and Ashley in November, I said, we gotta keep the communication open. You don't have to, but I would like you to call me or text me. Don't even have to call. Text me every month and just give me an update of where you're at. Just so I know, because we're trying to hold this together. And that hasn't happened. He has not done that.
He has. And then
We don't want to get into this, but the communication is kind of broke down. I.e., when the rumor gets out that we're gonna do some secret meeting tonight and hire a highway superintendent, if somebody picked up the phone and said, "What are you saying?" Before we make that decision, I would go over and talk to that family, and I will go if that's what we're going to do, and say, here's what we're going to do, And again, I'm trying to see if I can plug a hole for a year and a half is what I'm trying to do, hopefully to get this guy back. But if all of a sudden things go out there that we're doing these sneaky meetings, I don't do anything sneaky. I'm the worst extreme because I talk too much. Just pick the phone up and talk a little bit. So, but I can't, Brandon says, last time I talked to Brandon, I know the medicine, I know it's tough, and I know it's Ashley, the family, I can't even imagine. So I'm not saying he has to, but I'm just saying, we gotta keep the communication open. If we can call somebody, I gotta know if I can, so. Okay?
Can I say something?
Anybody, come on up and grab them. Gotta have your name and address, please.
It's Jason Gentry at 2 Line Drive.
Maybe,
Jason Gentry, 2 Line Drive.
yeah.
I guess kind of what Andrew was trying to reiterate and what we're trying to get at
Okay.
is more at what can you all do with your local workers' comp insurance company, because that seems to be the root of all evil. It's not you or any of the board or anybody else. it's the workers' comp insurance company that you all have chosen to use as a town for your employees. And these companies, they screwed the pooch on this whole thing. I mean, excuse my expression. That's what we're asking. What can you all do on Brandon's behalf with this insurance company? Because clearly they've got an IME who's saying there's nothing wrong, and next thing you know, the IME says, you know what, you're fucked. That's his exact words. So that being said, what can you all as a town do in looking at a workers' comp insurance company that is in the best interest of your employees as a town?
We called our carrier, like I said, and we said, this guy's not faking, he's a worker, that's why he's in that position. The guy before him was Doug Eddy, 20 wide open.
I know Doug very well, yes, sir.
And you know Doug, I brought him in when I came in. Brandon's the same thing as Doug Eddy, but he's a lot smoother than Doug Eddy, which, you know, I love Doug, and I miss Doug. But Brandon's, it was just excellent. I was looking so forward to finishing out my career with him, you know. But you're right. You go to the doctors and they say it's a comp case, they don't even want to talk to you because of the darn comp.
I get it. That's all I have to say.
Okay, no, I appreciate that.
Bring that up. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else at this point? I think we understand what's going on here. Nope, come on up.
Mark Body, 3 Nicholas Drive. I am the unit president for the highway department for the union, and I'm hearing some conflicting stories from you saying you're not entertaining hiring a new highway superintendent. I think other people would disagree with you.
I just gave the 3 options, so that was one of the options. I don't know what you're talking about, Mark, but go ahead. And that's what I said to the foreman, general foreman. We've got 3 options, or 4 options.
Well, one of the working foremen said that he would be willing to take it over and wait for Brandon to...
The working foreman did tell me that. He also says to me, I'm not doing it unless you give me a lot more money. And the idea, guys, listen, Mark represents the union, he's a union president. A general foreman, there's scales in the union. The working foreman has a salary. I can't say, okay, you're going to fill in, I'll give you a few more thousand. They got to follow the salary. I mean, you said as a union, the general foreman sets the salary.
He stepped down from the union. He's no longer part of the union.
I thought you were talking about Kevin.
No.
So that might be what's going to happen here. That's one option that we're working
Why can't
at.
we use somebody in-house
Yep.
that knows he's a 30-year man here himself, and he can help Eddie, and let's find out what's going to happen with Brandon before we throw him out.
Guys, that's 100% what's happening, okay? That's option number 1. Number 1. We have a gentleman that's going to retire in a year and a half. The board needs to talk. If he can fill a void, and how many times have you heard me say tonight, if I can fill a void for a year and a half, hopefully Brandon will be able to come back to work. Mark, that's what I'm saying. That's like option number 1.
Well,
But I haven't talked to the board 100% yet.
Well, no, but...
I hear you. I'm agreeing with you.
You said yourself, you're a talker, so we've heard...
I'm a talker, and I talked to that gentleman today at 11 o'clock from 11 to 11:30.
Yeah.
About, because he's a general foreman, along with, I asked with Ed and stuff. But I talked to him today, so I think I'm ahead of you a few hours. That's a big option.
All right, because that's what he told me, that he pitched that idea to you and you shot him down. Well, and if that's the case that he did...
I tell you what you do, Mark. I tell you what you do. When you see him tomorrow morning,
yeah,
you ask him if I shot it down. And if he said I shot it down, you're a big guy. You and him get in your truck, drive up to the farm, and the 3 of us will talk, and I'll ask him, did I shoot it down? And he's going to tell you, no. That's option number 1.
All right, so I'm going to do that.
Please, please.
And if he said that you did, we're going to come up to the farm.
You're welcome to the farm anytime.
Is that what you want me to do? Come up to the farm with him? If you said you shot it down?
we're entertaining options, Mark. Mark, I don't wanna fight with you,
I'm
please.
not here to fight with you either. But I
We're
think
trying to-
you're throwing the baby out with the bathwater here, you know?
See, the problem, guys, is this is a board decision. The highway superintendent's a board decision. And where I kinda go wrong is I include too many people. I include my workers, my general foreman, and my other foreman. I include them and say, help them. I want to get somebody that everybody's going to work with. I shouldn't have done
And
that. I
that's
should
what
have
you
just talked
got
to
here with Brandon.
Excuse me?
That's what you have with Brandon. Everybody doesn't mind working with Brandon, likes working with Brandon.
I know.
And things were never smoother, so.
And it's been working until COP just said permanently disabled, temporarily, permanently disabled. So the COP just changed things, so.
Well, I just want to make sure that he's getting a fair shake, that
He's got more than a fair shake. But the other gentleman, I talked to a couple of the foremen also, and I said, guys, can you help run this place? And a couple of them said, yes, from 7 to 3:30. If it's after 3:30, don't call us. That's what you said. Let the foremen or let somebody run it. They're telling me I'm going to run it from 7 to 3:30. That's a union position. We need somebody we can call, So Mark, it's a little more complicated. So
okay, so do you need help from us to maybe find somebody in-house?
why don't you just talk to the gentleman tomorrow morning and say, did Phil shoot you down?
I'm gonna.
Well, good.
Well, I'm here.
Call him tonight.
Is there anything we can do in-house, in the highway department to help to make sure he doesn't lose his job until there's a final ruling that he is permanently disabled,
Oh, that's
not
funny.
temporary?
Oh, I'm sorry. The one gentleman, you're the union president,
I am,
that you're talking about taking over for a year and a half.
yeah,
How many years has he been here?
30.
30 years, 30 plus years. He just got out of the highway union. And he tells me that you said the town board's going to fire you now because you're not a union member. What?
No,
That's what he told me.
I said they could fire you.
They could fire him. Now we're talking about giving him a promotion. So I was like, what? I'm not going to fire anybody. I'm not going to fire him after 30 years. I've never done that.
Okay.
Okay? So you got to relax. I'm not going to, just because he got out of the union, he said whatever
Let's
reason.
not make this about me and the union.
No, it's not about you, but I'm just saying he got out of the
Do the
union.
right thing for Brandon.
We're here trying to help Brandon and work it out.
Okay.
Okay?
Well, if you need anything from us,
Thank
let
you.
us know.
And I always have.
Please.
Always have, Mark.
Thank you.
Okay, anybody else? Ward? If not,
Motion to adjourn.
motion adjourned. Have a second. All in favor? Aye.